It's pretty annoying. There's some guy named Steak Opera on one of my videos commenting a whole bunch of crap about how Korea had everything before Japan, which is complete bullshit. Saying that KUMDO is older than Kendo and blah blah blah, basic Korean lies. Taekwondo is 10,000 million years old and it's used to kick people off horses. For anyone who says Taekwondo is used to kick people off horses, try this. Get someone on a motorcycle to go 25 miles an hour at you and try and kick them off. And then when you get out of the hospital, come back and tell me that I was right. So, because if you know anything about inertia, then you know that your leg is broken. Anyway, about Haedong KUMDO or Haedong KUMDO, depending on which group you're with, because these two guys decided to sue each other over who was the better faker or something like that. It was created in the 80s. It was based on a martial art that isn't actually a martial art. It was just made by some guy who founded it after not actually training, but just meditating on a sword, thinking about what a sword should do. So he sat around and did nothing and decided that that was the ultimate sword martial art. But, you know, since no one actually uses swords anymore, I guess you could get away with that kind of crap. That was in 1971. His name was Chang Sik Kim. He changed his name to something else. He said that he was like a warrior monk. But I think he was just lazy, sitting around making stuff up. So yeah, these two guys studied that art. That art was called Shimgundo, basically New Kendo or whatever. So just couldn't even come up with an original name. But these two guys who made the Haedong KUMDO, they originally called it the Shingundo because that's what it was. They didn't make up the fake history at the time. They were Jung Ho Kim and Han Il Na, and basically there was a guy named Tae Min Choi or Tai Min Choi, and he came up with the name Haedong KUMDO. So the guys used that name and said that it was an ancient Korean art, which it wasn't. It was just made up in the 80s based on something that was made in 1971, based on absolutely nothing. So they made that up, but then the Han Il Na came out and was on a Korean drama, some kind of historical drama, and was using his sword style and got really popular. So he was spreading that fake story around, but the other guy got jealous and sued him. So in front of court, they had to admit that the story was completely made up. The name is brand new. It had nothing to do with history. They basically told how they made up the whole fake history, all that kind of stuff, just that it was a complete lie based on this guy who never trained in any martial arts, making up a sword style himself. So it was bullshit based on bullshit. So after that, that's basically it. They made up the term samurai. They admitted that was fake. They wanted to sell the Korean version of samurai. There were Korean sword arts, but they don't exist. They died out a long time ago. Basically, there's only two historical records of Korean martial arts. The Muye Do-bak Tangi and Muye Ji-bo. Those are the two books. Basically, they describe everything, but there's no KUMDO in it. There's also no Taekwondo in that, because that's not a martial art either, despite what Taekwondo people will tell you, that it's a 2,000-year-old martial art. It's a game. It's just a game where you kick each other. It has nothing to do with martial arts, just like Filipino sipak. That's kicking methods, but it's not a martial art. It's a game. It's like hacky sack, basically. But this is just, Taekwondo was just a little game that people played. It wasn't a serious martial art. It's complete nonsense if anyone tells you otherwise. But the two books that I mentioned, they talk about all different martial arts, talk about all different things. They also say that Korean martial arts are completely based on Chinese martial arts. There's a little Japanese influence because they copied the Japanese sword. So specifically, they copied the Japanese sword when they were getting raped by Japanese pirates all the time. But mostly it's a copy of Chinese martial arts that's well documented in their own books. And those are the only two surviving books. After 1909, actually, all Korean martial arts died, and then Japan brought in Kendo, and then in 1947, the Korean KUMDO organization was developed based on Kendo. They just changed a little bit of the clothes and pretend like they have nothing to do with Japan, but everyone knows that it is completely Japanese. They just used a different color flag and used a different uniform barely. And aside from that, all Korean martial arts are based on Japanese martial arts. There's no indigenous Korean martial arts surviving today. There's no Korean martial arts surviving today. They're all games. Taekwondo is a game. KUMDO is a game. Hapkido is not necessarily Korean, but based on Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. But even that, you can't prove it. There's no documentation of Sokaku Takeda teaching the founder of Hapkido anything. If any Hapkido guy says that, they're lying. So that's basically it. Everything is based on Japanese imports of karate, judo, or kendo. So if you want to lie, present your sources, but basically every historian has said that there's only 2 books, and that covers everything. Everything was dead. There's nothing new. Well, there's only things that are new, but there's nothing that's a real martial art.